All episodes of A Trial by Podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only. Much to their parents' dismay, neither host is a lawyer, journalist, or investigator. Just two people with microphones and Wi-Fi. All actions discussed are alleged, and all parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. For the full legal mumbo-jumbo, check the show notes.
BTW, FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
So I guess that's our 3-minute intro to the show.
Were you recording?
I've been recording, yeah. So, hi, I'm Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Emily.
And this is A Trial by Podcast.
I love that.
Okay. I guess we're just going to start the show talking about our Taco Bell. We're also covered in bruise. Do you have bruises?
No, because I didn't mosh. I was just covered in water.
I did shove Emily into her first mosh pit against her will.
I did. I think I did have a bruise somewhere. Somebody elbowed me.
I've got a handful of bruises.
It was not my first mosh. I just didn't agree or consent to moshing. When everybody said, "Are we going to mosh tonight?" I said, "It's a no for me." And then everybody was already moshing around me, so I was kind of in the middle of the mosh.
Yeah, we did just kind of shove Emily in there. We definitely did come home, like, just covered in other people's sweat, for sure.
Oh, sweat. Thankfully, it was water, and I think it was yours.
It was me. It was for sure me.
Oh,
Poor Emily, like...
I got wrecked.
Yeah, I'm just the clumsiest person, even with 0 drinks in me. But, like, I think I was moshing. Wait, in my defense, I was holding a full cup of water in a mosh pit.
Well, just give me it to hold then.
I know. Sorry, I should have said, "Mommy, can you hold my purse and my water?"
You said, "Cup of water, you're coming with me. Let's mosh."
Well, I needed to hydrate, so I didn't dehydrate. You know what I mean?
But you're not hydrating if the water is going everywhere.
But anyway, we went to see our friend's band, or our acquaintance's
Shout
band.
out Deli.
We had an argument about this.
Oh,
yeah, we do that every time. But at Elbow Room, if you guys like... They're kind of like punk pop, but like a little bit of screamo.
Yeah.
Like they go back and forth between screaming and singing. They're actually fucking fantastic. Like, you know, when you know when you know people from high school who start a band and their band sucks and you have to like pretend. And this is not that. Like genuine. They're actually so talented. Yeah. They're so good. It's called Elbow Room. So if you guys are into that kind of music, which I know some of you are, I highly, highly, highly recommend checking them out. They're on Spotify and I'm sure everywhere else. But
they're on Instagram. They're on, I don't know where else they are. But.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, wait. I do have some biz nasty. I'm going to be as quick as possible. Okay. So first order of biz nasty. I think we mentioned it last week too. We are doing a true crime trivia night. Ooh. For anyone who is in the Cleveland area or close by that doesn't mind making a little bit of a drive. It is going to be Thursday, September 11th. Well, it's at 7 p.m. is when questions start, but you really should get there at like 6:30 to sign up and everything.
And
there's no cost to like getting in or doing the trivia, just, you know, whatever you drink or eat or whatever. But yeah, I would say get there at like 6:30. It's at Seeing Double in North Olmsted. It's a fun little cocktail speakeasy bar.
And their cocktails and food are so, so good.
Yeah, the cocktails especially are banging and we love it there. Emily and I will obviously be there. And like I said last week, if no one comes, if none of the listeners come, I will cry myself to sleep. I will... My heart will be shattered into a million pieces. I just need one. At least one person.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just come for the trivia if you
want.
Yeah,
it actually is really fun. Like, we do other trivia. Like, in a couple weeks, they're doing emo night trivia.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's going to be really fun. But like I said, one of my buddies is the one that does the actual trivia. Like, he does all the questions and stuff. And he literally is the best. Like, first of all, he should have a podcast. He has the best, like, radio voice.
Yeah, and he's funny.
He's very funny. Maybe I'll get Ed on the pod, dude. Guest star. He likes true crime. He's listened to the podcast. But yeah, it's going to be really fun. So if anyone is able to make it, we would love, 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 love to see you there. And then the other thing is 14 Club, dude. We talked about it in the Robert Wan episodes. I'm really trying to move with this. I'm going to brainstorm. I'm thinking like maybe at the end of every episode, we do like all right, 14 Club act of kindness idea. I'm kind of thinking like we wait and we try and be inspired by the story we talk about. But then if nothing is coming to us after a couple times, I'll start to prepare them ahead of time. But if you guys have any other fun ideas of what we could do with the 14 Club, like the random acts of kindness, eventually when we get bigger and we have a bigger audience, I'd love to sell merch and then we use all the profits for like random acts of kindness. Like, I don't know, you like tip a waitress $1,000 or something. But right now I don't think we would bring in that much money. It's null and void at this moment. But any just like random acts of kindness where it's like, okay, next time you see a lady with fancy nails, you're going to compliment her nails. Like just the little things. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. And then my last thing is calling you motherfuckers out. So if you like punk pop, or you had a punk pop emo phase, I'm going to need you to make sure you're following us wherever you listen. I'm going to need you to give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. And I'm going to need you to follow us on Instagram at A Trial by Podcast, because I hear that TikTok's going away in 2026 and it's going to destroy me from the inside out when TikTok goes away. Anywhere. Just to get for reference, if you don't follow us on socials, we have almost 90,000 followers on TikTok. On Instagram, we have 3,600. Okay. The algorithm on Instagram fucking hates me. So if you guys could follow us there, that'd be great. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to shut the fuck up about random stuff and just not shut up about the story. Let's get back to it.
North Korea.
So let's do a detailed review of the assassination. Make sure we're all on the same page, and then we're going to kind of go from where we left off last week.
Okay.
So at approximately 9 a.m., as Kim Jong-nam ambled near a self-check-in kiosk in the departure hall of the Kuala Lumpur Airport, the attacker struck. A grainy CCTV video later leaked to Japan's Fuji TV showed the critical moments from multiple different angles. These are all security cameras in the airport. So first, Siti comes into frame, approaching Kim from one side, and almost simultaneously, Đoàn comes from behind him. So in the footage, Đoàn is very recognizable because she's wearing this white top that just has huge black letters over it that say LOL. Which is kind of fucking ominous when you realize like she's literally holding one of the deadliest nerve agents on her hands, or like part of the deadliest nerve agent in the world on her hands. She's just wearing a sweatshirt that says LOL.
But it's funny if you think about it, because she is like on a comedy show, and she did not know that she had the dead.
Exactly.
So that's kind of funny.
Dude, the irony.
From her perspective.
I know, and just watching it, like the dramatic irony of like what we know that she doesn't, and you're just like, oof, yeah. Now, in a quick movement, Siti distracts Kim Jong-nam from the front, and some reporters say that she might have sprayed a liquid or simply engaged with him briefly to do this. I watched the security footage. Like, I can't really tell that she's spraying anything on him, so I don't know. Okay. I don't know if it's like from a different angle that you can see that, but it just looks like he's kind of like his body is facing towards her. Like, you can't really tell what's going on from the angles that I was able to find. So while Siti's kind of like distracting him, Đoàn reaches around from behind and clasps both hands onto his face, wiping that toxic substance all over his face, like his mouth, his eyes, everything. And you can see him on the footage recoiling and pulling away. And the entire interaction is quick, and it appears almost playful, like on the women's parts. Mm-hmm. Now, they do... Like, as soon as they delivered the dose, they split up and they hurried off in opposite directions. And they do this in a way that you're like, it did make me turn my head a little bit. Like, oh, did they know? Because it's very slick. They don't just run away frantically. They're walking, but they're walking very quickly. But you're in an airport. It kind of is like, they're just walking like they have a destination.
Yeah.
And it made me think at first, I'm like, well, did they know? Because they're walking in a way as to like not attract attention.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, well, I guess maybe they just don't want to get caught for this prank.
Yeah.
Like, you could still get in trouble for just like wiping something on someone's face. I don't know.
Well,
but
isn't that the whole point of their skit too? Is to just hit him and walk?
Yeah. Like, just confuse the fuck out of them. Yeah. Is basically what it sounds like. So they walk away in separate directions, and they headed to separate restrooms where they wash their hands thoroughly. Now, this is an action that prosecutors later highlighted as evidence that they knew that they had handled poison. Like, they're basically being like, why would they go wash their hands immediately if they, if they just thought it was a prank or whatever. And I'm like, dude, if I had freaking oil all over my hands.
Sticky shit on my hands, I'd be going immediately to the bathroom to wash it off.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had anything on my hand, like even if it's just like lotion or something that's like
what
not
are they
gross.
supposed to do? Wipe the oil and then just go about their day?
Yeah, I agree. Like, but this is what the prosecutors are like trying to highlight, saying that, look, they obviously knew it was poison. They were being so careful not to like touch their face and stuff. And it's like, well,
would you touch your face with that?
I would not touch my face if I had like my hands covered in baby oil.
Yeah.
Now, Dwan's defense,
unless you're Diddy.
Unless you're Diddy. That is true.
I bet you he's like, oh, I'm not going to wash my hands. I got baby oil.
Should we cover Diddy?
Absolutely. We should.
I'm nervous. I'm hesitant to do it because there's so much, like, you don't realize how far back this shit goes.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Well,
this goes back to Diddy's talked about when you talk about like what happened to Biggie and Tupac and stuff, because the whole East Coast, West Coast thing. And I'm like, I could just see myself like, this is going to be 20 parts. Because we got to then talk about Biggie and Tupac and Suge Knight and probably 20 other people that I've never heard of that are like part of that whole thing. And then
I feel like there's going to be a documentary. So maybe we should just wait until the documentary comes out and see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just focusing on one part, like talking about Cassie's story.
Yeah.
I might start there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you like it if I just cover Cassie's portion of the story and like what happened to her? Or do you want to you just want me to wait until I do the whole thing? Let me know. But back to this story and these non-Diddy women who are wiping baby oil off their hands. So Dwan's defense leader argued that she went to the bathroom simply because the oily substance was unpleasant on her hands, not because she knew it was lethal, but also because she's not Diddy. She didn't want oily substance all over her. Nonetheless, the fact that she rushed to wash up was noted by police. So on the security footage, they go wash their hands and stuff, and then the women leave. They exit the airport. So it's not like they were caught right away. Đoàn then caught a taxi outside of the airport while Siti rendezvoused briefly with that James guy who it was not named James. He was actually a North Korean agent. So she is like talking to him very briefly, and then she also gets into a taxi, a separate taxi. And both were back in the city within hours, likely thinking that the prank had been executed successfully, and they're just waiting to be paid for it. Then, the next day, on February 15th, Đoàn is arrested at the airport, still in Malaysia, after security cameras caught her distinct LOL shirt and features. So
she can't hide from that LOL shirt.
Well, I know. I couldn't tell if she was wearing that shirt again the next day or if they just it just made her more memorable. But it sounded kind of like she was wearing that shirt again when she was arrested.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's a very noticeable shirt.
Yeah.
Like it is a big LOL on there. Now, she had been lying low at a hotel, but she didn't flee the country immediately. So she stayed another night at the hotel before going back to the airport. And she later says, because she had no idea that something bad happened after this. She's like, I wasn't in a rush to leave. I wasn't in a rush to like flee the country because I had no fucking idea I murdered somebody, basically. Wild. Then just one day after Đoàn was arrested, Siti's arrested. So this is February 16th, 2 days after the assassination. And she's arrested at another location in the city. Now, she actually had a boyfriend at the time, which was a 26-year-old man from Malaysia. And he was completely unaware of what was going on, but he had been the one that was like driving her around to the practice runs of the pranks. So he was also arrested as an accessory, but he was later released without any charges being pressed against him. But I'm like, dude, imagine you get arrested and they're like, okay, picture this. I'm arresting you. Ask me what I'm arresting you for.
What are you arresting me for?
Oh, your significant other assassinated Kim Jong-nam, the leader of North Korea's brother. How do you react to that as a normal fucking human being?
I'd be like, what the fuck? It wasn't me.
You'd be like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So funny. What am I really being arrested for? Like, what the fuck? Imagine, like, she's in her early 20s. They arrest her boyfriend, and he's just like being accused.
He's like, is this also a skit?
Yeah, literally. Is this the prank show?
Yeah.
I wonder if the girls thought that. That's actually fucking funny. Like, I wonder if they thought, oh, these are joke arrests. Like, are they looking around for the cameras? Like, oh, this is part of the prank show.
Like, are we being punked right now?
Oh, the prank is on us. I get it now. Dude. Like, I wonder if that's what they thought.
That would fucking suck. And then you get there and you're like, oh, shit. Like, that actually happened.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. It is scary. So both women initially appeared confused when they were arrested, obviously. And the police did explain to them that the man that they had pulled the prank on died. And they're questioning
They're like,
them.
well, it wasn't us. It was just baby oil. What do you mean?
They're questioning them like, who was this guy? Why would you kill him? And they're like, we have no fucking idea. Like, we were just hired for this prank job. We don't know who this guy was.
Yeah.
And according to the women, they weren't told for weeks that this guy that they killed was one of the leaders of North Korea. Or I don't even know if they were told,
They just found out.
or if their defense teams later told them. Like, I don't know if they were told by the police or not.
Damn.
But yeah, the whole thing's
They
crazy.
were in quite a pickle.
Yeah, yeah. Now, on March 1st, 2017, barely 2 weeks after the murder, Malaysian prosecutors officially charged both women with murder under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which carried a mandatory death sentence in Malaysia. So if convicted, it's not like here in the US where you get convicted, then you go to sentencing, and sometimes people get the death penalty if it is applicable in that state, and then sometimes people get life in prison. This is like, if you are found guilty, you're getting the death penalty.
Like, that's the only thing you're getting.
Yes, there is no other. They don't fuck around.
Damn.
There's actually a story of this is a side note, and I am going to cover the story at some point where there were all these like young people from Australia who went to Indonesia, and they got caught trafficking. I think it was heroin.
It's Wednesday, Adams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
They were doing something like they were trying to take it out of Indonesia back to Australia or something. They're like early 20s, all of them arrested and killed.
Damn. What the
by the government. Death by firing squad.
They say we don't fuck around.
No, they don't. They don't fuck around with drugs in some of these countries. So don't. If you go to Southeast Asia, I think a lot of countries in Southeast Asia are like this. Do not do drugs, even the ones that are legalized here, because you could get death by firing squad. Fun fact: when I volunteered in Indonesia, I had to sign a waiver saying that I understand that if I do drugs in this country, I could be arrested and killed by death by firing squad. So after being arrested and after they were charged with the murder, they were brought to court. And at this point in the court process in Malaysia, they did not enter pleas. So they didn't plead guilty or not guilty, which I think in the US would be kind of one of the first steps. But in Malaysia, murder cases go straight to the higher courts. So they only nodded to indicate that they understood the charges. That was pretty much, they show up in court and they're like, yes, we now understand what's happening after a few weeks of being imprisoned. And if convicted, they would be executed, likely by hanging.
Ooh.
In 2017.
I was going to say, they still do that?
By hanging.
Like,
and I heard somewhere, guys, I'm 50-50 on if this was Malaysia and if this was about this case, because I didn't put it in here. But I'm not, I feel very certain inside that this was about this case, but I could be so wrong because my brain.
Confidence
But
is
like
key.
I remember hearing something about in this country, they hang people, but first they hang a bunch of weights on your body. So when they hang you, you're
gone.
Your neck, which is probably better, honestly.
Yeah, instead of struggling.
Yeah, like your neck just snaps. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh my God.
Someone let me know if I'm right or wrong about that. Could I Google it? Yeah, but I've got 5 screens in front of me, so I'm not going to.
We're booked and busy.
I'm booked and busy, guys. Now, of course, this was a grave moment for the 2 young women. Their first court appearance after being charged for murder. And they were like, you have to remember, like, these women were from very modest backgrounds. And yeah, they were being paid for doing some of these fake videos, but
But in their eyes, it was harmless. Like, just funny pranks.
Exactly. But like, they don't have a bunch of money to get the best defense in the world. But guess what? When you kill the leader or, one of the very important people of North Korea,
I feel like even if
taking
you
it
do,
seriously.
I was going to say, but I feel like even if you did have the best attorney, defense attorney in the world, it would not do.
Well, luckily they're not being tried in North Korea because then it would not matter. I promise you that it would not matter. But they just, I think for a bit, it seemed like there was very little hope, I would imagine, for the two women. And they were actually imprisoned together. But remember, they don't speak the same language. They don't have a common language between them. But still, being in prison together, they grew very close to one another. Now, from the outset, Siti and Đoàn insisted that they were innocent pawns in all of this. During police interrogations and later through their lawyers, they repeated that they believed that they were performing this TV prank and had no intention to kill. This claim, almost unbelievable at first glance, began to gain plausibility as details emerged. Evidence and testimony during the trial in 2017 and 2018 painted a picture aligning with the women's story. So first of all, there's no clear motive for these women to be involved with or care about the leaders of North Korea in any way. Neither woman had any personal bone to pick with Kim Jong-nam or any obvious link to the North Korean agents, aside from the prank recruitment. They had no political or financial incentive to murder a stranger at the behest of Pyongyang. In fact, text messages and social media posts around that time showed them concerned with mundane life issues and excited about their video shoot opportunities. So they go through, they pull all these women's text messages, and they're like telling friends and family about like, oh, I'm doing these video shoots, all of these things that they're talking about on social media. And you would imagine I guess you could say if they're North Korean spies, like maybe they planned that ahead of time, but it just seemed like they were worried about the little things in life. Now, it also became evident that 4 North Korean men orchestrated the crime and fled the country that same day. So, like, they're already at the airport when this happens, and I think they probably just hopped right on a plane.
I'm out of here.
Right. This corroborated the idea that a larger conspiracy was at play because they were all together. Why would they leave the women behind and the men just leave them there? The defense argued that those men were the real culprits. They were the men with the poison. They were the ones that put the poison on the women's hand. And they were the ones that escaped, leaving these 2 young women to take the fall. Now, CCTV and witness testimony confirmed that there were multiple rehearsal pranks. There's videos of this. So, for instance, there's a video from Phnom Penh, Cambodia, the airport that they were at just days before. And this showed Đoàn performing a nearly identical prank on a different man, just a random man, using what was presumably a harmless liquid, baby oil if Diddy's involved, maybe some other type of oil if not. And this just indicated like she had done this many times. She thought this was just standard procedure. Nothing bad happened to this guy that she did this to in Cambodia. Yeah. Also, a YouTube video surfaced of Đoàn in Vietnam participating in a prank in early January, more than a month before the assassination. So it's like they're actually like starting to post these fucking videos on YouTube and stuff. Like this is a really, really elaborate cover story. Yikes. In addition, the Indonesian government staunchly backed Siti. She was from Indonesia. And their police chief publicly stated that Siti was duped into thinking it was a prank based on information that Malaysian police had shared with the Indonesian government. He described how Siti had done pranks where men were asked to close their eyes and then she sprayed them with water, being paid a few dollars each time. The Malaysian police, while initially skeptical, couldn't refute that the women had been used as tools by a greater scheme. So as they're digging into this investigation, even the police and the investigators start to believe these women, which thank fucking God.
Yeah, jeez.
Importantly, the women themselves were not killed by the VX agent. And I think that was the biggest thing for investigators. That's the biggest leap for people to get over is like, how were they not harmed by this thing that they say one drop of it can kill you? Yeah. And if they didn't know that they were handling it, and to me, I say luck.
Yeah.
Luck, or if you're religious, you may say God, or whatever, like a miracle of some sort. But here's the thing. Like I think I mentioned last week, Đoàn did show minor signs of exposure. So after she was arrested, which remember was more than a day after the assassination, she was vomiting in police custody. And this is a symptom consistent with low-level VX contact. And there's conflicting reports about how long she was sick for. I read in some reports that it was just a few days that she was sick, like almost like a stomach bug. And then I read in some places that she was sick for weeks after this. And I really don't know which one it was. But she did show some signs of illness. And remember, she was the second one who was doing most of the rubbing, the combining of the 2 different liquids. So Moreover, Kim Jong-nam's autopsy revealed an unusual detail. He actually had a chemical called atropine in his bag. Atropine is the antidote for nerve agents.
Uh-oh, he was ready.
So basically, he was carrying an antidote to one of the deadliest nerve agents in the world just because he fucking knew that little brother was coming for him. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? And it's also
That's crazy because it did happen. He knew it was going to happen to him,
but he didn't use it. He didn't use the antidote.
Yeah, but it was in his eyes and shit. He probably was like not thinking about that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit, what's in my eyes? I got to go clean it out. He's probably not thinking
That's
what
just
it was.
sad for his family.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this guy is one of the leaders of North Korea. So, like, I mean, my sympathy is very limited for this man and his family, to be honest with you. But damn, dude, so close.
Sad. Yeah,
it was in your pocket. Now, in August 2018, after the prosecution presented its case, the High Court judge ruled there was enough evidence, quote, that this was a well-planned conspiracy, end quote, involving the two women and, quote, North Korean suspects at large, end quote, to warrant calling the defense. The judge did note that it could have been a political assassination, though he said that there was no direct evidence of political motives in court, meaning on the women's side. Okay. Now, Siti and Đoàn then had to formally present their defense rather than being acquitted at that stage, but it sounds like the judge was already kind of on their side. Mm-hmm. The trial was closely followed by the media and strained Malaysia's diplomatic relations. Indonesia and Vietnam provided legal assistance and lobbied for their citizens' release, asserting that the women were scapegoats of the North Korean masterminds. The case also stirred public sympathy in their home countries as well. Many Indonesians and Vietnamese saw the women as victims of human trafficking or exploitation. And in a high-profile murder trial, however, political intervention is tricky. So this is like, if they just got in trouble in these other countries, it's a little bit easier for their governments to intervene. But like when you're fucking with leaders, it's not so easy.
No bueno.
Now, the Malaysian court had to maintain that it was ruling on facts and law, not political pressure. They're like, we're not just going to release these women because you want them released, not when this is such a high-profile case. Luckily, though, a breakthrough for the women came in early 2019, 2 years after the incident. So 2 years. This is going on for 2 years. In March 2019, just as the defense phase was to begin, the Malaysian Attorney General unexpectedly withdrew the murder charge against Siti. She was freed on March 11th, 2019, and returned home to Indonesia that very day of her release.
She's like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that would be me.
Yeah, me too. I'd be like, get me home right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The decision surprised even Siti's own lawyer, and no detailed reasons were given in court besides the prosecution's discretion to discontinue. The Indonesian government framed it as the result of its continued diplomatic efforts. So they're like, yeah, we'll just pat ourselves on the back right now. Siti had spent 2 years in prison by then, and her release was met with joy in her hometown and by her young son, whom she was reunited with.
Oh my God.
It's been years.
It's been years.
Yes. Now, Đoàn situation, however, looked dire by contrast for the time being.
Yeah, like what?
Because,
what's different?
Well, when Siti was freed, Đoàn, the only remaining defendant, broke down in sobs in the courtroom.
I would do the same thing. I'd be like, why does she get to go and I don't? We had the same role in this.
Well, I think it really was that, like, Indonesia's government did a better job of lobbying for her. Lobbying is not the right word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. They've never really said why they dropped all the charges against her. I don't know. But after they did that, Vietnam really, really took it up a notch, really ramped up its pressure. And its officials publicly decreed that Đoàn should not be the sole person on trial. Within weeks, Malaysia's Attorney General agreed to a compromise, and in April 2019, prosecutors reduced Dhawan's charge from murder to, quote, voluntarily causing hurt by dangerous weapons or means, end quote. So that's like a long name for a charge. I don't even know if I technically have to quote that, but I did because it's like more than, I think you're supposed to quote anything longer than 4 words or something. But yeah, here's the thing is it voluntary though if you don't know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like how she didn't know.
That seems involuntary to me.
Yeah, how voluntary could it be?
Right. However, Đoàn pleaded guilty to this lesser charge, accepting responsibility for causing injury, but not for intending to kill.
She said, okay, I did something, but just let me go.
Yeah. Now, the court sentenced her to 3 years and 4 months in prison from the time of her arrest. But because Malaysia often grants reductions on prison sentences for good behavior, she basically was released very soon after this trial. I think it was just a few weeks after her trial.
Oh, that's
so they
good.
gave her 3 years and 4 months, but because she served like over 2 years time, and they're like, and sometimes
like
we reduce
already-
it, we're just gonna like let you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a month, less than a month after her plea.
I'd be like, thank fucking God.
Yep, and she was escorted to the airport and flew back to Vietnam that day, a free woman.
So what if they don't get, sorry, this is like a sentencing question. Do you know if you've already served that much time and you don't get anything, like do they get any reimbursement for them just sitting in prison? Probably not
I
there,
don't
but like
know
what about in
about-
the US?
In the U.S., this is why you have the right to a speedy trial. But no, I don't think if you're acquitted,
You get nothing for that?
no, I mean, you could probably sue, but unless they really did something wrong, I don't think you're going to get much. I'm not an expert though, so if I'm wrong, you guys let us know very nicely in the comments. But I don't think that you would get, I mean, again, this is the United States of litigation. That's why you have the right to a speedy trial, because otherwise they could just put you in prison for 10 years and then you're just like waiting to like have a trial.
Didn't she already spend like 2 years in prison?
Yeah, I think I don't know anything about how it works in Malaysia besides what I have on this page in front of me, which I'm only feeling 85% confident about when it comes to their legal system.
Honestly, if I was her though, I also would not have fucking turned my head back that way. You know, and if she was able to sue them for not a speedy trial, I guess. She did spend 2 years in prison for nothing.
Oh yeah, I would not be fucking with anybody.
Yeah, I'd be like,
after
all
this.
right, I'm gonna go shut the fuck up and mind my own damn business now.
Yeah, me too.
You'll never hear from
Honestly,
me
I'd be
again.
scared. Not saying that that's what she should do. We're just saying that's what we would do.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Now, upon her return to Hanoi, Đoàn Thi Huong received a hero's welcome of sorts. So we got a little bit of we got a small moment of happiness here. She got home and realized that like Vietnam's view was that she was a victim. That's how people of her own country, like she had been treated as a fucking assassin, as a murderer, in prison for years. And she gets home to everyone is like celebrating that she is back, that, you know, she's not in prison. Yeah, a very warm welcome. And she expressed gratitude to both Malaysian and Vietnamese authorities and indicated that she planned to pursue a career in entertainment as she had dreamed, perhaps even writing a memoir of her unbelievable experience. I will eat that shit up, Đoàn.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all. Take Zysol. At night.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Leading a business today means constantly adapting. On the Executive Insights podcast, brought to you by AWS, global leaders share how they're making tough calls, testing bold ideas, and putting innovation into practice, generative AI included. If you're looking for real stories behind what's working, this is it. Subscribe to the Executive Insights podcast today, available now on all major podcast platforms.
Write it.
Jinx. Shut up.
But I will eat that shit up. And also, you know what? I'm going to find out if she is on social media. I would assume she is. And I will follow her and I'll share her pages with you guys.
Hell yeah.
If I can find her. Because like,
hell yeah,
she always
Đoàn.
wanted to be a star.
Now
and
she's
like,
a star.
And here's the thing is, probably this isn't the best.
Yeah, not for the
this
reasons
wouldn't be
that
her
she would
chosen
like.
path.
Yeah.
But now that it's over,
She's there.
might as well be a star out of it. Like,
read
you be
that.
an influencer. She can influence me, I'll tell you that. I trust her opinion. And honestly, if I were her, first fucking thing I'm repping, first brand deal I'm doing,
The LOL shirt.
baby oil.
Oh, yeah.
Or LOL shirts.
I feel like baby oil's already been trademarked
oh my God,
by Diddy.
giant LOL shirts. And then underneath, I swear I didn't know he was the leader of North Korea. LOL, I genuinely didn't know he was he was Kim Jong-nam.
I feel like that might be controversial.
Too on the nose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be. I feel like somebody from North Korea would come after us.
Us or them for making the shirts?
Both.
Just us for making the joke?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Definitely the shirt would not be a good thing.
Yeah, the shirt would not be good. Now, as for Siti, for her part, she returned to Indonesia and attempted to resume a normal life out of the spotlight. Both women had narrowly escaped the hangman's noose, and to this day, Siti and Đoàn keep in touch. Now, which is so sweet.
I know, I love that.
I love that for them because, I mean, seriously, like we said last week,
Talk about a sisterhood bond.
An original experience. Like, these are the only two. What a fucking trauma bond.
Dude, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, it's sisterhood bond, trauma bond. Like, no one else can relate to what you guys have been through
Double
except
whammy.
the two of you.
Yeah.
Now, Kim Jong-nam also left behind a family. He had a wife and children who had been living in Macau under assumed identities. After his death, these relatives, including his son, Kim Han-sol, who seemingly vanished from public view, basically for the family's safety. They were like, they're kind of in hiding at this point.
Understandable.
Then, in March 2017, a video surfaced of a young man claiming to be Kim Han-sol, then 21 years old, stating, quote, "My father has been killed a few days ago. I'm with my mother and sister. We hope this gets better soon," end quote. So this is right after the assassination.
Mm-hmm.
He said a few days ago, but if it was March, it really would have been like a couple weeks before that. And in this brief clip, he holds up his passport to prove who he is, I guess. And then he thanked an unnamed group for helping to protect them. And it turns out that a secretive organization called Chalima Civil Defense had extracted Kim Jong-nam's family from Macau and shielded them in an undisclosed location with help from the Netherlands, China, and the CIA. Kim Han-sol, who had been educated in Europe and had once spoken openly about hoping for Korean reunification, likely remains in hiding to this day because he's still part of the Kim dynasty. He's still, has that bloodline. And he's also saying that he wants Korean unification, which is like North Korea ain't fucking about it.
Yeah, they said, not us.
Not us. And of course, he too would be a target if he was ever found because he's got this family lineage. Now, the Kim Jong-nam episode thereby has an epilogue. An exiled family living under constant fear, relying on an underground network for survival. Now, this is what I will say. I don't really know about the family. I don't really have a strong opinion, but I always listen to a few podcast episodes like about a case I'm going to cover, so I know the story from start to finish before I start doing all my research.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to one podcast, and these people, I'm not going to name the podcast, and I didn't take any facts from them, so I'm not going to name them in the source because I'm really not sipping on haterade at all. Fantastic podcast. It was very well researched. They did a great job. However, this guy, at one point, he was like, and this episode is in memory of Kim Jong-nam, who lost his life, and blah, blah, blah. I said,
fighting for the cause.
Sir, this man was one of the leaders of North Korea. Like, we don't have to do it in memory of him, right? Like,
yeah.
I know he left, but
Still sad.
He didn't
he
like
is a human being, but also North Korea.
But he didn't leave trying to like liberate his people. He left trying to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
Like he got ousted because he was trying to go to Disney World. So like, yeah, later he maybe spoke out saying he's against the succession, but that just to me sounds like he's against the succession going to his brother.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go too strong on something that I don't know that much about because
it's the North Korean Game of Thrones.
But like, I just felt like that was a really strong stance for like the way he said it, like the way we would talk about like a little child whose life has been taken. Like that's how sincere he was about it. And I'm not saying that we should be killing people. I say this all the time. I'm very against vigilante justice. I don't think we are not God. We should not be taking people's lives in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not celebrating that this man was killed. I'm not at all. Like this shouldn't have happened. It's always bad to murder people. But also, I'm not going to give you guys a long spiel about this poor man. Anyway, now from a historical perspective, the assassination of Kim Jong-nam will be remembered as one of the most audacious political murders of the 21st century. It combined this dark intrigue with North Korean politics and spy novel level antics. Like this shit is, there's fake identities, there's femme fatales. Like we talked about that concept with Mata Hari, like this idea of the woman you never see coming. And really for these women, they never fucking saw it coming either, apparently. And then also a poison straight out of a Cold War laboratory. Then on top of all of that, you've got this choice of venue, which is this major international airport. And obviously airports, I mean, maybe not as much in other countries as it is in the US, but they're still really highly guarded facilities compared to like just being on the street downtown or something. So this all together just showed Pyongyang's surprising confidence that they could brazenly violate sovereignty and get away with it. And guess what? They did get away with this. And they also got away with something else that I had mentioned last week, which is the death of Otto Warmbier. And I had mentioned this last week and I was going to make it a whole separate episode. And then I said, well, part 2 is looking a little flimsy, a little short. And I know.
Tag it right on.
And I knew, I'm like, I can't put out a 45-minute episode. Not for my fucking people, dude. Not for my peeps out there.
The homes.
I know you guys don't want a 45-minute episode. You want way longer. So X gonna give it to you.
Ooh.
So today, we're adding on the story of Otto Warmbier.
Oh.
So Otto Frederick Warmbier grew up in the Cincinnati suburb of Wyoming, Ohio.
Oh.
OH.
Ayo.
He was an outgoing, sweet, brainy, smart young man. He was the class salutatorian of his high school class, and at the University of Virginia, Otto studied economics on a scholarship and was known as a meticulous planner with big ambitions. He was fucking going places.
He was doing big things.
He was doing big things. And by his junior year, he had landed a prestigious finance internship, and he hoped to become a banker one day. Yet on top of this, like, he's smart as hell. He's crushing it in school. He's crushing it at this internship. But that wasn't his entire life. He was also curious and adventurous. He had a passion for travel and for exploring new cultures. For instance, he had previously visited Cuba on a study trip, which as an American, I don't even think you can go to Cuba right now. Like, you couldn't go to Cuba for a long time, and then there were a few years where you could go. My mom went.
Ooh,
and then I don't think you can go anymore, but I could be wrong about that. And if we can, we should go. No? What if my mom comes with us?
I mean, maybe, but like, what if he gets stuck there and then they're like, no, I can't go back?
That's true. I'm more worried about the U.S.
than
like, I am about Cuba.
Let us back in.
So in late 2015, craving one more bold adventure before graduating college, the 21-year-old decided to visit North Korea over his winter break.
He was only 21? Wow.
Only 21. And he said, you know where I want to go on winter break?
North Korea. Interesting choice.
And that shows you this is a smarter man than Emily and I, because he's so interested in, that's why he's going to places like Cuba and North Korea.
Because he's doing the damn things.
He's doing the damn things. He's interested. He wants to learn about the world and some of, the
not so
societies that are hidden from the rest of the world. And I get this. Like, trust me, I told you, I've been on this North Korean deep dive. I get this desire.
But are you going to go?
Not after hearing what happens to this fucking kid.
Oh.
Not after hearing what happened to him. And honestly, if you would have asked me a couple months ago if I would ever go to North Korea, I probably would have been like, it's not on the top of my list, but like, but if it came across my desk, I would probably go. Because I'm like, as long as you fucking operate under their rules, you're going to be fine, right? Maybe. And I don't like maybe.
Yeah, I'm not a maybe.
I don't like a maybe.
No.
So, and for Otto, unfortunately, this was a decision that would cost him his life. And I say that it's not his fucking fault, because I know, these motherfuckers in the TikTok comments are going to be like, why would you go to North Korea?
Because you wanted to.
Shut the fuck up. If you've never left your home fucking town in your life, which, not hating on people who haven't, but like, don't blame someone for something horrible that happened to them abroad. Could happen fucking anywhere.
Don't be hating them because you ain't them.
Not in the same way, but I'm just saying, like, you can die anywhere. Like, bad things can happen to you anywhere. Now, Americans can visit North Korea. Again, I don't know if that stands to this day, but for a long time, Americans could visit North Korea.
Not anymore.
I don't know if you guys are paying attention to U.S. news.
Yeah, if you're clocking the fucking internet at all.
Yeah, the last about 6 months or so, things have been changing very rapidly in the U.S. Yes. We're in a transition period. What we're transitioning to, I'm not sure.
Who knows?
So anyway, my point is I don't know if to this day Americans can still visit North Korea, but at the time they could. But only on tightly controlled tours run by approved agencies. And I think I told you guys a little bit about these tours from like a documentary I watched about one where this guy went to North Korea and he did the same tour that Otto did. So everything that I was kind of telling you about last week, they went to the schools and the schools had these murals. This is what Otto was going to do.
Okay.
So he books this 5-day New Year's tour to Pyongyang with an agency called Young Pioneer Tours, which was a Chinese-based company known for budget trips to, quote, destinations your mother would rather you stay away from, end quote. And I have to say, give that marketing team a raise.
Literally.
That is such a good tagline. In
You're not
relation
wrong.
to this story, it's sad because we know something bad happens to him, but like budget trips to destinations your mother would rather you stay away from. Like any 21-year-old is going to be like, hell yeah, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
Now, the tour package cost about $1,200 and it promised this mix of sightseeing and New Year's Eve partying.
For North Korea and like a whole tour and shit, that's kind of cheap.
Yeah, I wonder like what their currency, like how much do you think a Coke costs there?
I don't know.
You know, like is it $10 or is it 10 cents? I feel like I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Well, they don't have Coke there. That was a stupid. Of course, they don't have Coke in North Korea.
But what do they have? They gotta have some kind of soda.
It's something North Korean, dude. They make everything
the
there.
North Korean Coke.
Oh my God, that was so
gotta have
stupid of me.
something
I wonder how
similar.
much a Coke costs in North Korea. If they do have products from other countries, I'm sure they must have something from other countries. I think they do trade with like Russia.
Yeah, just not.
But I know that they're not carrying American products.
Like Sprite.
Yeah. Dude, sorry, that was so funny. I'm so dumb. So anyway, this tour, $1,200, and it's basically like, hey, we're going to take you to see the sights and we're going to take you partying for New Year's Eve in the world's most isolated country.
Oh yeah, 21-year-old, sign me up.
Yeah, dude, I would sign me up partying in
for New Year's Eve. I bet you they go hard.
You do that for the plot.
Yeah.
Imagine if I'm like sitting here talking to you and I'm not telling this specific story and then we're like getting to, oh yeah, one time I went to North Korea for New Year's Eve and just partied the night away. You'd be like, what? I'd be the most interesting person in the room in that moment.
That'd be
you know what I mean?
Trick, yeah.
Like I totally get why he wanted to go do this. I know I see people online saying, why would you ever go? I get it. I'm not going to go after I heard this story, but I get it. Now, Young Pioneer Tours, which was actually founded by a British expat named Gareth Johnson, it basically just catered to young adventurers, and it even billed North Korea as, quote, probably one of the safest places on earth to visit, end quote. Now, I do not stand by that
That's
one.
That's gotta be false.
That is false. That is false for sure. Now, Otto's parents were uneasy about the trip. The U.S. State Department already warned against travel to North Korea, but there was no travel ban. It was just a travel warning, which there are constant travel warnings for a ton of countries on a regular basis. Fair. But as his mother later said, quote, why would you say no to a kid like this, end quote? Because Otto was smart. He was responsible. He was adventurous, but he wasn't just like fucking off. You know what I mean?
He wasn't going to party.
Like he was going to
learn and have a good time.
He said
and
if
like, there happens to be a party, hell yeah.
Yes, and he was there to like do something that's once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And he was determined to see one of the most secretive nations on earth for himself. Which, by the way, have you guys ever heard of Turkmenistan?
Who?
I think it's Turkmenistan. It's very similar to North Korea in a way.
Oh, it's a place now.
It's like it's a dictatorship. I watched it on The Dark Tourist on Netflix. If you've never seen that, it's some crazy shit, dude. I might do like one day when we're doing Patreon. I've been saying this for months, and actually people have been asking us.
Okay.
So we got to talk about that.
We'll get into it.
But I know some other podcasts do like weekly shorter episodes, like 20 or 30 minutes or something for Patreon. And I'm like, I want to do that. I'll just do one about North Korea, do one about Turkmenistan, like. And you could do smaller cases and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you all about Turkmenistan this weekend. But it's some crazy shit too. Now, in late December 2015, Otto met up with his tour group in Beijing, China. They flew together into Pyongyang just before New Year's. And among the group was Danny Grattan, a 40-something British traveler who became Otto's roommate on the trip. Now, Yanggakdo International Hotel, nicknamed, quote, Alcatraz of fun, end quote.
Oof.
So it's named Alcatraz of Fun for its island location and its self-contained facilities, which would be basically this tour group's base.
I mean, okay, but like pick a different name.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the itinerary combined official sites like museums and monuments with controlled social activities. And on New Year's Eve, 2015, the group celebrated in Pyongyang's city center and then returned to the hotel for late night fun. According to Grattan, the tourists enjoyed drinks at the hotel bar and even bowling, but, quote, no one got belligerently drunk, end quote, that night. This is according to Grattan, his roommate.
Okay.
At one point after midnight, Grattan went off to bowl a few frames and he just kind of like lost track of Otto. You know, he's not his babysitter. They're both grown
He's having
men.
a good time. He was bowling.
So he didn't see Otto for about 2 hours. But nothing seemed amiss at the time. Otto eventually turned up and he was asleep in bed in their room by 4:30 a.m., right around there. And because this is when Grattan came back to their hotel room.
Okay.
So he comes back around 4:30. Otto's already sleeping. Now, what they didn't realize at the time, not Grattan, not anyone else in the group, was that something during those early morning hours would later be used to implicate Otto in a serious crime. On January 2nd, 2016, the tour group headed to Pyongyang's airport for their flight out of North Korea. Otto and Grattan were the last in line at passport control, slightly delayed because, strangely, the hotel staff failed to give them a scheduled wake-up call that morning. As the two friends stood side by side at the immigration desk, North Korean officials took an unusually long time inspecting their passports. Then 2 uniformed guards approached. One gently tapped Otto on the shoulder and escorted him away without explanation. Grattan joked as Otto was being taken away, saying, quote, well, that's the last we'll see of you, end quote. Obviously unaware of how prophetic his nervous joke would become.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
United Healthcare nurse Crystal checked in on a patient.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell in her voice that she was struggling.
Crystal knew she needed help.
And I knew that this is very serious. This is like septic. This is life-threatening.
And she knew just what to do.
And I called the hospital and said, she's coming in. Here are her labs.
And got her the help she needed.
I see my role at United Healthcare as a life-saving role.
Hear more stories like Crystal's at uhc.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen 1 too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Your burger is served. And this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Otto managed a half smile at Grattan's joke, and he followed the officers through a side door. He did not resist or appear frightened at all. That was the last time anyone on the tour saw Otto Warmbier. And they had to just fucking leave.
Damn.
They just left him there. I mean, honestly, that's what I would do. I'm not hating on these people. What can you do? You can't do anything to help him. Now, Grattan was left stunned at the departure gate, but he just hoped it was a small mix-up. Perhaps Otto had fallen victim to some extra questioning or a minor bureaucratic issue due to the fact that he was an American. Because remember, number one enemy of North Korea is America. Upon arriving back in Beijing, the tour guide frantically phoned North Korea for answers. Like, hey, why did you take one of our fucking, what do you call someone on a tour? Tour people. One of our patrons on our tour.
Tourettes?
Yeah. Yeah. Why'd you take one of our Tourettes? Perfect word, Emily. Great job.
Tourists. The word is tourists.
Now, she was told that Otto had been hospitalized. So this is as soon as they land from that flight from North Korea to Beijing, which I don't know how long of a flight that is, but it's not like 20 hours or something. she's told on this phone call that Otto had been hospitalized due to a sudden bout of sickness. And he supposedly claimed to have a severe headache and said he was too sick to fly. In reality, North Korea's security services had detained Otto. And it wasn't until 3 weeks later, in late January 2016, that Pyongyang publicly announced that it was holding an American student for committing a hostile act against the state of North Korea.
Oh my God. And they're like, oh yeah, he's just had a tummy ache and a headache.
So for 3 weeks, his parents have no
Thought that
fucking
he was just
idea.
sick for 3 weeks there and haven't heard
No,
from him?
I think everyone knew immediately that he wasn't sick. And now the alleged hostile act that they mentioned during this press conference, basically they're accusing him of attempting to steal a piece of propaganda. Of course, they don't call it propaganda, but it was basically like this banner or poster that had a political slogan on it. And they said that this was hanging in a restricted staff-only area of the hotel where his tour group stayed, like that hotel, the same one that's in this documentary. I'm going to find that documentary again on YouTube because I've talked about it 50 fucking times, and I'll link it for you guys. I want to say in the show notes, but I will forget to put it in the show notes. I'll link it on Instagram at A Trial by Podcast. Now, sometime during the New Year's festivities, officials claim that Otto had snuck onto a second floor of the Yanggakdo Hotel and had taken down a framed poster as a trophy. In March 2016, North Korean state media released grainy CCTV footage showing a shadowy figure removing a wall poster, asserting that the man was Otto. However, those who knew Otto, including his roommate Danny Grattan, expressed doubts about this. They say that the video is way too low quality and is completely unidentifiable. They're basically saying this could be any fucking man.
Yeah.
And Grattan insists that he saw zero evidence that Otto planned on doing anything like this. So it's not like, they spent this whole week together. It's not like Otto was like, oh, you think I should take that? You think I can take that without them noticing? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people are not convinced, and it sounds like there's a lot of reasonable doubt that whoever took this fucking poster was Otto. And I just want to say, if you took that fucking poster, fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they wouldn't have known until they left that Otto got in trouble for this, but like, aren't you then in your home country and you can be like, hey, actually that was fucking me, and your government will protect. Like if that was me and I did that and I saw this guy was in prison for it in North Korea, I would speak up.
Yeah.
If I was out of North Korea.
For sure.
Actually, even if I was in North Korea, I'm not going to let someone else fucking be in prison for, I don't know. At least
I would wait until I got out of North Korea and then be like, hey, that was not him, actually. That was me.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But I don't think that
possible.
I honestly don't think that would have helped either.
Right.
Because I think they would have kept him anyway.
I don't know. And it is possible it was him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just don't know. And like, this is the kind of stuff that when you live in a free country doesn't happen. Even if he was the one who did it, you would never, well, first of all, you wouldn't be in prison for 3 weeks for stealing a fucking poster.
Yeah.
Ever. Of anything. Doesn't matter. For 3 weeks, that's crazy.
Yeah.
However, you also wouldn't be convicted of this based off that security camera footage when it could be anybody. It's crazy. And this is why we don't want to live under a totalitarian regime. Because then whatever the dictator says goes. And it doesn't work out well. So North Korea orchestrated a televised confession. And in late February 2016, Otto was put before cameras at a press conference in Pyongyang. The once vibrant student was now pale, shaking, and in tears. He read a prepared statement, almost certainly under duress, detailing an outlandish plot. Otto said that he had attempted to steal the banner at the behest of a Methodist church in Ohio, a secret society at the University of Virginia, and the U.S. government, who supposedly wanted him to bring back a trophy to harm North Korea's morale. He told the room, quote, "I have made the single worst decision of my life," end quote. And by the way, I've seen this video of him saying that he's sobbing. It is absolutely fucking gut.
Well, he's probably fucking terrified, and they're like, we're going to kill you if you don't say this.
He's sobbing. He's pleading for forgiveness. He is reading out the statement, saying all these things, saying, I did this because a Methodist church in Ohio, in conjunction with a secret society at the University of Virginia and the U.S. government, wanted me to steal this poster.
Damn.
Now, I think we can all understand that that makes absolutely no fucking sense.
No.
Why a Methodist church in Ohio would be working with the secret society at the University of Virginia, and then we're just thrown in the U.S. government for good measure.
But also, what the poster? What is
the poster going to do?
Yeah, what are we going to use the poster for? Nothing.
Yeah, like being like, this is propaganda, like North Korea.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we don't know?
Yeah.
Like, do they think that we just don't know?
Maybe.
I don't know. The whole thing. But here's the craziest part about this, okay? Remember, Otto's from Ohio. He's from like Cincinnati area. So that's why they're saying this is at the behest of a Methodist church in Ohio. So already it's not adding up. Weirdest part about this, though, is Otto was Jewish. So he wasn't associated with the Methodist Church of Ohio.
Oh, no.
Otto was Jewish. So he's saying on camera, like, I did this for the Methodist Church of, and I don't know where this came from, like if he just was, being tortured and pulled it out of his ass, or if they suggested it to him. But if he brought this up, like if he pulled this out of his ass, this was so smart of him, because he's going to be like, well, obviously they're going to know that that's not true because I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
But it just shows you North Korea is just fucking crazy. Now, nonetheless, the regime, despite his confession, despite his public apology and his tears and his begging, they press ahead with punishment. Then on March 16th, 2016, after a short 1 hour long trial, North Korea's Supreme Court convicted Otto Warmbier of subversion and sentenced him to 15 years of hard labor. Do you know what being sentenced to hard labor in North Korea means? Slavery. It's human slavery. Observers noted that this sentence was extremely harsh for an alleged property crime for stealing a fucking poster. And video of the trial showed Otto breaking down sobbing as uniformed guards carried him from the courtroom. He cried out once more that he was sorry and was scared, knowing he might not see his family for a long time, if ever again.
They're treating this as like a fucking murder. Like, he stole a poster, even if he even did it.
I feel like
that is crazy.
The women, I feel like Siti and Đoàn were treated better by Malaysia when they thought that they assassinated like a very important
world
person.
leader. Yeah.
Now Otto Warmbier, at just 21 years old, was now prisoner number 429 in a North Korean labor camp.
15 years, goddamn.
After the sentencing in March 2016, Otto vanished into North Korea's penal system. Very little is known about where he was held or his condition during most of 2016. The North Korean government refused to allow Swedish diplomats who represent U.S. interests in North Korea to visit him. So despite repeated pleas from the United States, no one could check on his well-being. For over a year, Otto's parents received no communication from him. In Wyoming, Ohio, Fred and Cindy Warmbier agonized over their son's fate. Privately, they feared the worst. At one point, Cindy even thought that Otto might already be dead. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts to free Otto continued behind the scenes. During the last year of President Barack Obama's administration, officials pressed North Korea for Otto's release, but Pyongyang offered no concessions. In early 2017, with Donald Trump now in office, the U.S. ramped up its efforts. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was directed to make the release of American detainees in North Korea a top priority. Then in May 2017, Joseph Yoon, who was the U.S. State Department's special envoy for North Korea, held a secret meeting with North Korean officials in Oslo, Norway. And shortly after, the North Koreans sent an urgent message requesting another meeting, this time at the UN mission in New York City. So on June 6, 2017, Ambassador Yoon met North Korean diplomat Park Song-il in New York. Which I'm like, they're letting the diplomats go to the U.S.? I was surprised by that, but I don't know. It was during this meeting that North Korea finally revealed a shocking truth. Otto Warmbier had been in a coma for over a year. The North Korean side claimed that shortly after his trial in March 2016, Otto contracted a case of botulism, which is a serious foodborne illness, and he was then giving a sleeping pill because of this illness, after which he never woke up after taking this sleeping pill. This is what North Korea is saying. Which, if you remember, they said that at first, for the first 3 weeks, they were saying, he was sick. Oh, never mind, we've arrested him. And now they're saying, oh, yeah, he's in a coma. It's because he was sick. He had botulism, and then he took a sleeping pill.
No chance.
So after finding out that this kid, this American, has been in a coma for a year in North Korea, God knows where, because he's supposed to be in a labor camp. You're not doing much labor when you're in a fucking coma. After this spurred immediate action on part of the U.S. government, and Trump authorized an emergency mission to bring Otto home. Within days, an American medical evacuation team was on its way to Pyongyang. Joseph Yoon, accompanied by U.S. physicians, arrived in the North Korean capital on June 12, 2017. They were brought to see Otto in hospital, and this was their first real confirmation that he was indeed alive, but he was completely unresponsive. Yoon later said he insisted on the immediate release for humanitarian reasons, and North Korean officials finally agreed. Otto, still in a coma, was carried on a stretcher to a medically equipped plane, and he was finally coming home. On June 13th, 2017, Otto returned to U.S. soil, touching down in Cincinnati, Ohio. But it was nothing like the joyous homecoming his family had been picturing. An ambulance rushed the comatose young man to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center as his parents and siblings gathered by his side. Fred and Cindy were not even sure that Otto could sense their presence. His family later said, quote, Otto was unable to speak, unable to see, and unable to react to verbal commands. It looked like he was in agony. They described him as appearing, quote, very uncomfortable, almost anguished. But amid the heartbreak, they took solace that he, quote, was home, and we believe that he could sense that. And like, you can watch interviews with the parents. I fucking can't imagine. No. And if you're like me, you're gonna fucking be in tears. And like, I don't want to say I don't recommend it, but I would recommend it on a day where you're feeling strong, because it is not
for the weak.
It is not for the weak. This is just like worst nightmares. He was just supposed to go on a trip.
Yeah.
Now, doctors examining Otto found that he was in a state of unresponsive wakefulness, which is essentially a vegetative coma. He could breathe on his own, but he showed no awareness of his surroundings. He didn't react to anything. Medical scans revealed extensive brain damage, a loss of tissue in all regions of his brain, consistent with prolonged oxygen deprivation to the brain. In simple terms, Otto had suffered a massive neurological injury at some earlier point, likely due to his brain being starved of blood and oxygen for several minutes at least.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
But they're saying it was food poisoning.
It was botulism.
It was botulism and a sleeping pill.
No.
But every area of his brain is damaged. And the damage was already about a year old, according to 2 scans that North Korea had provided that were dated from 2016 that showed the same brain injuries. So he had been in this coma for a long time. He had been in this state for a long time.
Damn.
The hospital press conference painted a grim picture. Dr. Daniel Cantor, head of the neurological team, reported extensive loss of brain tissue and said that there were no signs of active botulism that like North Korea had said. He's like, there's no signs that that's what happened. They're full of shit, basically. And that's not a direct quote, but I feel that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
Otto's body was well nourished, indicating that he had been kept alive via feeding tubes and care. And there were no obvious signs of physical abuse like broken bones or fractures. So like there's one fucking tiny ounce of peace that the family can have is it doesn't seem like he was beaten into this state or anything like that.
Okay.
Otto would occasionally open his eyes and grunt or moan, but these sounds were simply reflexes. His father, Fred, described Otto's condition later as, quote, jerking violently, making these inhuman sounds, end quote, with his arms and legs totally deformed from neurological contractures, which I had to look that up. I'm like, what does he mean totally deformed? And I didn't know what contractures were. Basically, what they are permanent tightenings or shortenings of muscles, tendons, or other soft tissues caused by damage to the central nervous system. So I hate to put it this way because I'm not trying to make it unserious at all. I'm just trying to think of like an example other people can visualize because I looked this up. It reminds me of like when you see in a scary movie, like an exorcism or something. Like the way that they make the bodies like. I can't imagine seeing someone you fucking love with their limbs looking like that.
Unresponsive and in that way. That sucks.
It's so fucking sad. And this wasn't all because Otto's once thick brown hair had been buzz cut short and his parents noticed something extremely disturbing, his teeth. His father later said, quote, "It looked like someone had taken a pair of pliers and rearranged his bottom teeth," end quote.
Oh my God.
However, the coroner would later assert that Otto's teeth were intact and that the alignment only appeared abnormal due to like the medical devices that had been in his mouth for a long time.
Okay.
And that's probably what rearranged the teeth. But it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it's good to know that it's not literal, like someone tortured him with pliers in his mouth, but also like that's still disturbing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Otto also had a large scarred wound on his foot that no one had previously seen. So like that had healed, but no one knew what it was from. It was from something that happened while he was in North Korea.
Oh my God.
All this was devastating for the Warmbier family, obviously, but nonetheless, they stayed at Otto's side, holding his hand, talking and singing to him, hoping that he could feel their love. Tragically, Otto never regained consciousness, and just 6 days after returning to the U.S. at 2:20 p.m. on June 19th, 2017, Otto Warmbier died with his parents and his siblings at his bedside. He was only 22 years old.
That's so sad.
So sad.
And he had a birthday when he was there. He had to have had a birthday when he was there. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's sad.
In a statement, the family said of Otto's passing, quote, "Otto is at peace. He has completed his journey home," end quote.
Oh my God.
I know.
Don't even get me started.
Otto's death prompted global outrage and demand for answers. North Korea claimed that he fell into this coma after getting botulism and taking a sleeping pill. But U.S. doctors, and again, this is not a verbatim quote, but basically said, everything North Korea said is fucking bullshit. These fucking losers killed this kid because their leader is a supreme leader / dictator, supreme dick for short. And yeah, so again, not a direct, not verbatim quote, but that's pretty much what they said. That's pretty much what they told the press. Dr. Daniel Cantor also noted that his condition aligned with cardiopulmonary failure, not paralysis. So they think that this brain damage was probably caused, like I said, from prolonged oxygen deprivation, but that oxygen deprivation was probably from cardiac or respiratory arrest, meaning he had a heart attack or something of some sort. So it's like, what the fuck were you doing to this kid that at 21 he had a heart attack or respiratory arrest?
It's crazy.
Nothing good, I'll tell you that. I don't know what they did because he didn't have a bunch of broken bones or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like he was all scarred up. Like, it doesn't look like he was tortured Kiki Camarena style, but like whatever they did, it was not fucking good.
Yeah.
Now, coroner Dr. Lakshmi Samarko conducted a limited postmortem as Otto's family declined a full autopsy. Her review showed no signs of starvation or obvious physical abuse. He had a few small scars, but like I said, no broken bones, no skull fractures. His teeth didn't show signs of trauma. And the cause of death was listed as complications of chronic anoxic encephalopathy. Guys, I'm not even going to try that one. Now, Otto's death sparked immediate policy changes. By September 2017, the U.S. banned Americans from traveling to North Korea, and tour companies like Young Pioneer Tours stopped accepting U.S. citizens. However, I think they did reopen travel to North Korea briefly, and I think it may have closed again. I don't know. It
can't catch me going there. That's all
I don't think that fact is going to matter to you guys. Now, his case also fueled diplomatic tensions. Fred and Cindy pursued justice through a wrongful death lawsuit. And in December 2018, a U.S. judge awarded them $501 million in damages, finding North Korea legally responsible. Though, of course, symbolic. The ruling affirmed the family's claims that they promised Otto they would not rest until they had justice. And this was as much justice as they could get. And they're not ever going to see any of that money. North Korea doesn't.
I'm sure that they're like,
really care.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In Otto's hometown, a memorial honors his life. The Warmbier started a foundation in his name, focusing on human rights and on helping North Koreans, which I'm always amazed by these families that respond to these tragedies like this by just doing something good to help others. So the foundation supports North Korean defectors, promotes human rights, and raises awareness about the dangers of authoritarian regimes through education, advocacy, and public outreach. Otto has become a symbol of the risks faced by travelers to authoritarian regimes and the human cost of diplomatic hostilities. As Fred said at his son's memorial, quote, "You have not died in vain. You've brought the world to your doorstep," end quote. And that is the story of Otto Warmbier. Well, that's the story of what fucking North Korea did to him, because this 21-year-old kid had a whole fucking life before this and should have had a whole life after this because he was going places.
Yeah. Damn. That's wild. I remember hearing about this, but I didn't know it was like to that extent.
Yeah, I didn't know. I
didn't know all the deets.
I saw it on that documentary. Like, they mentioned it briefly, and I was like, what the fuck? I gotta look into this. And it's so fucking sad. But this also just is like, we have to remember, we're affected by this because I think it's human nature to look at everything from our own perspective first. And it's like, oh, we're Americans. This could happen to us. And imagine what they're doing to the North Koreans.
Yeah.
To their own citizens. This is what they do to someone from one of the most powerful countries in the world. Imagine what they're doing to their own citizens who have no power, who don't have a government to fight for them, who, you know what I mean? Like, this just exemplifies for you the lengths they're willing to go to over a fucking poster.
Yeah, that's wild. No. Mm-mm.
What are they doing to their own citizens? And by the way, that video, you couldn't even tell for sure that it was Otto. It might not have been Otto. Who knows? But they don't give a fuck, dude. They don't give a fuck. And I don't know if they tried to kill him on purpose. I mean, they kept him alive after, so I can't imagine that they were trying to. I don't fucking know. But
he would have been 31 this year.
That's so sad. That is so sad, dude. Rest in peace, Otto. So any ideas for, we talked about in the beginning, at the end of the episodes, trying to like think of a 14 club. Like, what's a random, how can we bring a little sunshine into the world? Do we have any inspiration? I don't always want to make it donating money because, that's unrealistic.
Everybody's broke,
to ask people to donate money every week. But like, what can we do just on a day-to-day thing inspired by Otto? Let's go back to he was a salutatorian of his high school. So he's smart. What else does Otto love?
I don't know. Let somebody use your notes if you're in class. I don't know.
Lend your notes to somebody in class if you're in school. I like that. He studied economics. He liked to travel and explore new cultures. He went to Cuba. What can we...
I got nothing.
This is harder than I thought.
Yeah, the theme is the hard part.
Huh. I'm going to have to think on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all spread the word about how fucked up North Korea is. I think people know. But let's remind them.
Yeah. Double down.
Let's double down. Let's double down on how fucked up North Korea is. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope you like my random act of kindness idea that I put in there. If you can leave in the comments some ideas for future random acts of kindness that we can suggest. I'm thinking I don't want them to involve money. Maybe every once in a while if you've got something really creative, but I don't want it to just always be pay for the person behind you.
Yeah.
It's not everybody's got money to spare, and we can make the world sunnier.
That guy in the McDonald's drive-thru. Can I get 75 burgers, 45 fries, 100 cheeseburgers? Have you ever heard about that?
No.
Oh my God, you have to watch it.
What did he do? Give it away?
No, he ate it, but he acted like it was for him. And he placed his order, and then he goes, oh, can I actually get the person behind me? And then he zoomed around and cut some person off to get back in line and order like fucking 100 burgers. So the person in front of him or behind him had to pay for him too.
So let's not do that, what that guy did. That's fucked.
I know somebody knows what I'm talking about.
That's hilarious, but that's fucked.
It was fucked. I was like, that's fucking rude. The person in front of him was pissed, so.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't pay, like if I went up to the window and they're like, you owe $120 for McDonald's. I'd be like,
oh,
no, I don't. Here's the thing is, there's crumbs in my lap right now.
From what?
Emily, I don't know. Did you see me eating a snack?
No.
No. How, like it is on the shelf of my, how did.
Your foop?
How did that get there?
The mystery crumbs. That's kind of weird.
Isn't that fucking weird?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Now, if you guys love the pod, make sure you're following us wherever you're listening so you don't miss out on any future episodes.
And while you're at it, we'd be forever in your debt if you had left us a 5-star rating.
For more content from us, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Both are at A Trial by Podcast.
You can also follow us on our Facebook and join our Facebook group.
You can shop our merch by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting our website, atrialbypodcast.com.
A Trial by Podcast is a fully independent podcast. If you'd like to help support us, you can do so by donating through the link in our show notes.
The site we use for this is called Buy Me a Coffee, but don't worry, your donations will never be used for coffee or frivolous things, only for expenses related to running and growing the podcast. So thank you guys for your support.
Thank y'all. Huzzah.
Huzzah.